Here are 10 baby names that I really love, but I won't be using. And I won't be using them because we've closed that department. Hey guys, it's Joanna from Nesting Story. So I've been loving these baby name videos that have been going around. My friend Emily Norris did one, and then my friend Amanda Muse did one. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna jump on this little tag here and do one myself. I'll add their channel links below for you to check out their baby names. One of the top questions I'm asked is, what was the inspiration behind our 4 kids' names? So at the end of this video, I will let you know what the inspiration behind each of our kids' names are and why we ended up on those. First, I'll start with girls. I actually find coming up with girls' names so easy. I think just naming girls is easy, but the problem is Mike finds choosing girls' names so much harder. So basically why most of these girls' names that I love so much got vetoed was Mike didn't like them so much. So here we go. The first girl's name that I really loved and that was in the running from day one, even when I was pregnant with Holden and didn't know if he was a boy or girl, was Ella. I think that's such a pretty name. That was about 8 years ago now that we were considering that name. So that was just as that name was starting to become popular. Now it's super popular. We know a lot of Ellas, and I love that name. I think it's just so pretty and simple, and I love shorter girls' names. So number 2 is actually really similar to Ella. This was a close running for Mia and Everly. In fact, this was almost Mia's name. So Mia's name was almost Ellie, so very similar to Ella. But I loved Ellie. I loved Ellie because of the movie Up. I really like the spunk of that character, and I just thought that was such a sweet, cute name. The reason we didn't go with Ellie was because it started with the same letter as Everly, and we were 100% sure we wanted one of our twins' names to be Everly, and we really were adamant to have like very separate names and very separate initials, so we decided to not use Ellie. Still so pretty though. Another name that I really loved, again with an E, was Ever. And when we were deciding on Everly's, it was kind of between Everly and Ever. I really, really loved Ever. So then Mike preferred Everly, so we decided on Everly. And then I always said, oh, I'm probably gonna shorten her name and nickname her Ever. And I really never have. I've heard people at her daycare call her Ever, and Holden and Bo spontaneously will call Everly Ever sometimes. But it just is something that's just not natural for me to say. I find that just a really strong, pretty name for a girl. And I really loved Mila. That was in the running also for Mia's name. We thought that was really pretty, and I think Mike, I was very like sure that that was what I wanted. Mike was more on the fence about that one, and then I was like, what about Mia? And again, that was when just as the name Mia was becoming super popular, and then it's kind of exploded since. But and then we kind of last minute jumped from Mila to Mia. Okay. I love this name. It's so pretty and it means so much to me. I love the name Daisy. That is my grandma's name, who is still alive, but she's got in the late stages of Alzheimer's. I think it's such a pretty name. It's such a sweet name. It definitely was in the running. But again, Mike and I just kind of landed on some other names I think that he preferred more, but I think it's just such a really pretty, special name. And I think if we were, which we're not, but if we ever did have another girl, I think that I would push for that one. Okay, on to the boys' names. So here's 5 names that I love for boys, and I find I tend to be more drawn to names for boys that are stronger, but less common. So here they are. So when we were naming Holden, we got down to 2 names that were very similar. Holden and Hayden. I love both of those names. I think they're both very strong and I just really like them. And the reason we didn't go with Hayden was just this. A friend of Mike said, well, who do you see more as a CEO of a company? Which is funny because a Hayden could totally be, but we said Holden. And I think that just kind of stuck from that point. That was just like able to kind of push us more one way. But I'm so glad we did, because Holden is just so suits his name. I think it's like a very serious, strong name, and he can tend to be a very serious little guy, so it really suits him. Some other names that I really loved at the beginning of when we were first having kids was, I really love the name Kale, K-A-L-E. I think that is a really, really nice name for a boy. It's just simple, it's strong, it's not too common. I believe it's Hawaiian. We knew a Kale, and then it was a name that we I think we're considering when I was pregnant with Bo, so we just never had a chance to use a name like any of these names. So these would have been used if we had more boys. But we did actually foster 2 puppies for a while there. And so I got the chance to name them, and I named one of them Kale. And that puppy had something like 50 people immediately want to adopt this puppy Kale, and it was a really sweet name. So I love that name. Another name I really have always loved, but I don't think it was ever really in the running, but I do think it's a really nice name, is Jonas. I think that that's just a really nice name. It's an older name, and I think it's like just a really strong name, and it can grow from like a child's name to an adult, and it's a very handsome name. Okay, 2 other names that I really love, and this we were set on. So Mike and I were convinced that our twins were 2 boys. I was craving a lot of red meat, and so for some reason that equated to me having boys for some reason. So we were 100% convinced. We thought they were 2 boys, and so we had even decided on names. We had decided on Landon and then Sawyer. So Landon, I loved. I actually get a lot of my baby names from movies, but Landon was from A Walk to Remember, and I love that name from so long ago. I think even from when we were naming Holden, and Mike didn't love it, and I worked on him with that name for years, and finally he was like, yes, I really like it. Like, I think it just was like so strong and handsome, and it's more common now, I guess, but back then it was not as common. So that would have been one of our twins' names. The other name was Sawyer. And this was kind of just, I guess, when Lost had just ended not too long ago. And I really love that name from Lost. And again, strong, not too common. I don't know, I think that is just like a really fun name. I feel like that if you had a Sawyer though, they would get into some trouble. Like, I think that that is a bit of like a mischievous name at the same time. Okay, so that's my 10 baby names that I really love and we will not be using. Here's the inspiration behind each of our kids' names. So I'll start from the oldest and go to the youngest. So for Holden's name, we actually just found it in a baby book, and it was either Mike or my brother when we were in Florida, and we didn't even know if we were having a boy or a girl at that point, but one of them was flipping through the book and they're like, what about Holden? And that just really stuck for me. And of course, everyone associates Holden with Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye. That's not where we got it from, but we definitely knew about that name from that book. But yeah, it's a really strong, handsome name, like I said before, and there's like a car company called Holden, and there's also an outerwear company called Holden, and it's actually rare to meet another Holden. Like, we've had rare instances where we've met a little boy named Holden at like a soccer game or something like that. But I find it's a name that is really nice but not overly used. Okay, so next is probably our most unique name, and I love this name. Bo's name for a girl is like very uncommon, I think. It's actually extremely common for boys right now, but for girls it's not very common at all. And I absolutely love it, and Mike did too, and we didn't even have to think about it. I heard that name Bo for a girl from probably my all-time favorite movie. I'm sure I've talked about this before, is Signs. I love that movie, and I love her character in it. I just think she's like really sweet and kind of funny, and just when they said her name Bo, it was just so simple and beautiful and strong, and it really suits our Bo. Like, I think that she just she goes 100 miles an hour, and just it just suits her. So we debated about the spelling for Bo's name for a long time. So the actual female spelling is B-O. So like for like Bo Derek's name, the way hers is spelt. And then for boys, it's B-A-U, and that's beautiful in French. But that's the masculine spelling. So we were kind of torn because we didn't want her to be teased. That was something that was concerning us. I was watching the Rachel Zoe show or something like that, and they had a model on there, and her name was Bo, and she had spelled it B-E-A-U. And I was like, yes, I can break the rules. I'm gonna name our daughter Bo, but spell it B-E-A-U. I love it. It was a bit controversial at the beginning, but I think everyone warmed up to it, and her middle name is Bo. It's Bianca, named after her late great-grandma, and it just suits her so much. I love it. I love that name. So the next one I'll say is the twins, because theirs I had to kind of decide hand in hand, like a pair. Like I said before, I didn't want them to be similar at all. I didn't want them to have the same letter. I wanted them to be very different. So Everly's we decided earlier on, and I got the name Everly from Channing Tatum and Jenna Dewan Tatum. They named their daughter Everly, and I thought that was the first time I think I heard that name, and I just thought it was so beautiful. And again, like I was saying before, I still really loved Ever, but I felt like that was just like a spin on Ever, and Mike loved Everly, and it was a very quick one to land on. I think that's become a bit more popular now, but we get so many compliments on Everly's name. People just love that name. It's really, and to me, it's like so pretty, suits her. It's perfect for her. So Mia's was such a hard one. So we basically, I think we were totally set on Ellie for a while, then we were totally set on Mila for a while, and then we switched to Mia. I really love it. It's funny because I love the name Mia. I do still love a lot of the girls' names that we had on our list just as much probably, but knowing Mia, her name suits her so much. It's like this tiny little name, and it's just, she's so small and cute, and it just fits her so well. So I think it's just like the absolute perfect name was matched with Mia. I think if we had named her Ellie or Mila, it wouldn't have fit just as well. So it's a hard thing naming kids. It's a lot of responsibility as a parent to be naming kids. Let's talk middle names for a second. So Holden's middle name is Michael, after his dad. I really like that for a middle name because you can't shorten it, and sorry Mike, but I really love how it sounds as Michael. I think that's just like a very strong formal name. So that's Holden Michael. And then as I mentioned before, it's Bo Bianca, and that's after her late great grandma. Then we've got Mia Lillian, and again, that's also after a late great grandma, and I thought I liked the short long with her. Then this is how I actually remember the name. So Mia's is short long, and then Everly's is long short. So Everly's middle name is May. It's Everly May. That's after one of my grandma's middle name. She had spelled hers M-A-Y, but I love M-A-E, and I just switched it, and it's just so perfect. So those are the names that I love, and feel free to use them if you are expecting a baby. It's really hard to name a kid. It's a lot of responsibility. I would love to hear what your favorite baby names are down in the comments below. Let me know if any of these have inspired you, or if what your kids' names are, or what names you love and where you got your inspiration. Thanks for watching this video. I wanted to remind you that if you want to kind of keep up with us on a more day-to-day basis, we're very active on Insta stories. So go ahead and follow me on Instagram at Nesting Story. And if you're new to the channel, I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Every Monday and Friday are vlogs, and every Wednesday is something different, kind of like this. If you like this video, hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love for you to subscribe, and if you have subscribed, thank you so much. It means so much to all of us. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.